All right. So if you would rather pull your eyelashes out than create a marketing campaign, in this video, I'll be showing you how I build campaigns, get reliable results, and after 10,000 hours of creating campaigns, this is my simple 3-step process that I start from in order to go from zero to hero with a marketing campaign. So in this video, you will learn why rigidity is powerful and where to find my master swipe file, which I'll leave in the description below. I'll be using that throughout the video. Popular frameworks that I always use that always hit, and then also some creative hacks to get you set up and get you rolling. By the way, if you don't know me already, my name is Jake, I'm the founder of Adstra. We help SaaS and service companies book thousands of sales calls a month, and we use an AI approach plus paid advertising to do so. And so today's video is based off a popular blog that I wrote some time ago, and I'll be going over some of the things, some of the methods that I use in order to start from scratch, and we'll never start from scratch really, but to start informed to be able to get close before we even spend any money or get things growing. Okay, so number one is rigidity, right? Of course, creative campaigns. You gotta be creative. The question is, it's hard to be creative. We have a lot more tools now than what we had when I started here. But beforehand, what I would have to do is I would have to start from kind of what I already knew what worked. And the best way to do that is to look at what other people have done. So I'm gonna be sharing my screen here, and we'll be looking at the swipe file. Okay, so let me just pull this up. I like to start here. And I'll leave it in the description, by the way, if you want to look. I like to start here because if I have a client and they're doing something, say accounting or whatever, I want to be able to find accountants in here. So there's the classic sales letters, the Copy Collective, shout out Copy Collective. We have some swipes here, okay, email flows, but let's go to the classic because if it worked on newspaper, or excuse me, actually, that's not going to give you the full, okay. If it worked on newspaper or worked a long time ago, it's going to work now still. Okay, we're at least the foundations of it. And so let's say we have a SaaS company. I have all these different SaaS plugs that I can pull from, right? The landing pages, the scripts, all that stuff. But let's give you a more practical example. Let's say you're selling some business consulting or something like that. You have all these different types of coaching consulting. We have Jeremy Miners. Let's go back to that. We have Jeremy Miners. We have Alex Hormozi's gym launch, right? As you can see here, not bad. And I think this is actually the new version, not the old one that he was doing. But if I'm looking at something and I say, okay, hey, I've got a sales guy, they're selling a low ticket product. I'm going to be looking at this is the sales page. And I'm, not going to copy it word for word, but I'm definitely going to steal from it, right? Of course, they probably spent a lot of money on this, and I know they're still running this. I know they're still running YouTube ads on this. So this has got to be good, right? And so this is the simplest way to first start. I mean, it blows my mind that people do not start this way, but you should be starting this way. You should always be starting from, hey, these people spent millions on ads for these funnels and tweak it, spend tens of thousands of dollars on funnel builders and copywriters and all those people. So why would we not look at what they're doing, right? We have Scalable, the Ryan Deese framework here, some other stuff. And I also like swiped.co as well, because you can look up different types of, whether it's an email or an opt-in or a Facebook ad or what have you with a guarantee, and you can look up niches. And so here's what's important about this. I'm not going to do this in the video, but here's what I would do with this. What I would do with this is I would take, it doesn't have to be the same industry. It can be a different industry. I know some things that work for local people aren't doing for the online, and it will work. So offers, hooks, headlines, ads, stuff like that. And I also, when I go through Facebook, I go through Instagram, I save all these ads and I screenshot them and I put them into my own separate folder too. So you should always be looking, irrespective of the industry, you should be looking at other industries, other ads that you're getting served and say, hey, why did this capture my attention? Hook. Okay. Why did this retain me? Right. And why did this get me to click? What was the hook, retain, reward framework there on the ad, on the landing page, in the funnel? And what you want to do is you want to take it from all aspects, okay? The hook, the lead in, all those things, and essentially build out a whimsical. This is what we do for our clients is we build out a whimsical. I got to log in here. Give me one moment here. But we will take this, okay, and we will go to one of our clients and we'll look at all the competition and we'll look at all their ads. What's beautiful about this is that you can see from a 1,000-foot perspective what's winning, what are they doing, what are they saying, Okay. And instead of copying somebody, because honestly, if you copy them, they could be broke. But what you could do is you can steal. You could steal based on the best. And so what I like to do is go to the ads that have been running for the longest period of time. Okay. Which in this case, this one's running since March 6th. It's working, obviously, or they're wasting money. But I don't think that they'd be wasting money for a year, right? They're either stupid or they got something that, they know something that we don't. And so in this case, hey, the top 3 restaurant trends probably is a pretty good lead-in hook, probably a pretty good headline. Something about these restaurants, something about that is getting these people in. How to calculate food cost percentage, right? For a restaurant that seems pretty like it's working. Obviously, it's been running for a long time. So you want to put it all out front. This can be old ads. This can be the old swipes from when I showed you the swipe file, which is in the description. And then also you can get it from contemporarily from ads that you're seeing or from your competitors, and try to get 30, 40, 50 plus examples of that and put it into its own kind of whimsical like this. Get the funnels, right? Get the ads, and what are the commonalities among the ones that win? And if you can take those commonalities and make that be the foundation of which you're going to move forward from, then it's hard not to win. We have this thing called the Sherlock Holmes strategy, research strategy. And if you want to grab it, it's a one-time offer on our $27 training. So if you get the $27 training, it's $97 after that. You can click it as a one-time upsell. That is exactly this process. It's going to have you in that template. It's going to have you bring in competitor stuff and put it all together. And really why that matters is because the research is the 20% of stuff that makes up for the 80% of the results. And so in this case, this is where I always start. And I like to start first from this after understanding the product, understanding the solutions, understanding the benefits, features, et cetera, et cetera. Now, that's really a great place to start. And then from there, okay, you can pull some, right? You can also pull some, see, hey, are we running a VSL here? Are we running a freebie? What have you. And then from there, some 3 frameworks here that I like to use is the AIDA, the PAS, or the 4-point content framework, right? So I usually use the PAS because it's the simplest, and you can use it in email, you can use it in sales pages, you can use it on an ad, you can use it anywhere. But essentially, people are going to opt in, they're going to click because you've articulated their problems very well. So if you just start talking and barking about solutions, people can kind of be disagreeable to your solution. You say, oh, will that really help me or not? Blah, 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 blah. But if you understand the nuance of their problem, and what I mean by that is like, instead of saying, hey, are you overweight? If you specifically say, don't you hate it when you walk, down the street and your thighs chafe, right? That's a very specific problem to a very specific person. And you can get even deeper than that. And depending on your product or your service, right, you can get very deep. And so if it's junk removal, you could say, don't you hate it when, past junk removal people stole your grandfather's watch or whatever, right? Because it happens. And that's the worst part about junk removal. And that's why people don't hire junk removal companies. They'd rather do it themselves. But if you mention that in an ad, it's like, oh, that happened to me. I got to see more about this. I got to learn more about this. Okay, so starting with these frameworks is a good place to kind of write copy because you always want to be problem first. And in the AIDA framework, attention could be around a problem. It could be kind of that weird hook. But I always roll with the PAS just because it's so simple to understand. It's so simple to remember. Pain, agitate, just like really drill into the problem and then offer some sort of next step solution. All right. And then for creatively hacking this, okay, what I would recommend is developing a regular schedule. Okay. And I'll give you a perfect example of this. Like right now, thumbs up. Right now, what I do every Monday, I take 4 hours in the morning and I make content. And what I do is I start with a long form piece and I go. And every Wednesday I make a ton of new ads. And from those new ads, I start with my swipe file. I start with 80% of what I know works. And then I try 20 to 15% of like throwing stuff at the wall kind of thing. And those are my 2 kind of regular schedules of I just know that if I make more content and I make more ads, we will make more money. Like irrespective of all the other problems that I have in the business, those 2 things have to occur weekly. And so if you don't already have a schedule for the recurring production of creativity, the production or the research involved for that, you should, right? You should be screenshotting stuff. You should be throwing it in your own handy swipe folder, right? And so beyond that, right, in the meantime, when I'm not working, but I'm still thinking. I'm reducing my cognitive load, and I'm trying to read. I'm trying to read fiction. I'm trying to do all these things where I enhance my creativity and I open up my aperture for surface area to receive creative intelligence, right? Long walks, going to the beach, working out, all those things, along with your regular schedule, allows you to get back in on Wednesday when you have to make new ads, where you're ready and primed and you have all these things that kind of come out with. And of course, Soar, on one of my last videos, if you want to check it out, Soar, we're able to make a whole ton of ads. So very quickly. And so if you just bring in ads that have won before, old school ads and old school funnels that have won before. Very easy to nowadays just be able to like really run from that and move. So finding your framework too, like I said, we do have the Sherlock Holmes. You want to grab it, it's in a $27 training, but that framework really works well for us and what we do for our clients. But, you'll find one on your own if you decide not to use the Sherlock Holmes. I would highly recommend it just because it's really effective and it's been iterated on hundreds of times. But having some sort of framework where you're not starting from zero, right? You're starting from a foundation of success, okay? And so you can either steal that from me, as in, buy the $97 thing, or you can build your own, right? But this comes from having some sort of foundation of stealing from other people, stealing art from other people, which is, always, there's nothing new anymore. There's nothing really novel anymore. We all kind of steal from each other, right? And that's what makes for the best sort of marketing campaign, and what makes for the best creativity really to flow is to steal from other people. Not copy, steal. It's completely different, okay? And then also, the one thing that AI cannot take from you is your own personal experience. So it's always good to interwoven, I guess you could say, intervene with what is practical and what will work in terms of messaging, pain, all those things. But also if you weave in your personal experience, right, and your personal story, no one can take that from you. Your competitors can steal your offers, they can steal your ads, they can steal all these things, but they cannot steal you and your personal experience. And so in an AI world, your personal experience is going to be the thing that gets you the most output. Intervene that with everything else you're doing, and I'm sure that you will be successful. Okay? And then make it your own, of course. That's what I would suggest. And really, in conclusion, I just wanted to say that, I want to definitely let you guys know that, and you also want to be fluid and creative and kind of go off the cuff, but you don't really. Like, you need to have a balance of rigidity and this sclerotic nature of the fact that you never want to start from zero every time. You want to start from a foundation of knowing, and then be creative within that foundation. Don't look at it like a box, but look at it like these are the guidelines of success that I've seen from the swipe file. Download it below. This is what I've seen from my niche, right? These are all the ads that I've swiped, screenshotted, what have you. I would suggest, like, if you're definitely on social media and you're watching a YouTube video now. So when you're on social media, take the time to stop and look at ads and think, why did this capture attention? Why didn't it? If it's good, screenshot it, save it, put it somewhere, save it in Google Drive or what have you, Slack, Discord, etc., and use that as a basis for creating things for yourself. And like I said, for most of the companies that are watching this, it's likely that you're under $5 million a year. And if you are, you should be always advertising, making new content, making new ads, making new pieces of creative material to put out in the marketplace to find the thing that's going to be the bullseye that's going to get you over 5 million. Now, if you are over 5 million and you're not doing any marketing at all, it's likely that you could probably double. If that's all word of mouth, congrats to you, doing a great job. But you can likely double if you just put some time into advertising and marketing. And what I mean by that is, I suggest everyone, grandmas and everyone out there, they should be doing content and they should be running some ads. Even if you're local, even if you're in a small market, run $5 to $10 a day in your 5 to 10 mile radius. What's going to happen is, if you make good content and you end up iterating where you have the best piece of content, because it gets the most engagement, you run that as an ad, people will recognize you, right? People will recognize you in your area, in your town. So that's always been my go-to for anyone who's looking to pursue growth in their business. If you aren't already, have a regular schedule. Learn from what's worked in the past. Iterate on that hundreds of times. Know that 80% of what you make is not going to work. The 20% will. And so if you knew that you were 50 failed content pieces away from having a successful 51st, then wouldn't you try to fail as fast as possible? I know I would. That's it for the video. Thanks for watching. If you liked it, shoot me a comment below and let me know what else you're looking to see. Leave a like, subscribe. That was all for the video. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.